afternoon. I just wanted to have you here today to give you a brief update on the homicide that we have on the 27th in Santee, Antioch Road in Santee, South Carolina, where the victim was Harrison Rawlings. First of all, we want to give continuous condolences to the family of the victim, and prayers goes out to the family. When we arrived on this morning, we found at the incident scene, we found one deceased, which was Mr. Rawlings. We also had one injured that had already been transported to MUSC, and we found out later on that it was another one or two more that was also injured at that scene, but had already left upon our arrival. To this day, what I want to do is to give you an update on where we're at in the investigation. Afterwards, I try to answer some questions, but not sure how many we can answer. But to give you an update on the investigation, where we're at right now, there were some arrests made on yesterday morning. We had an operation that started around 4:30, 5 o'clock yesterday morning to round up these individuals. Number one was Mr. Getters, 19 years old, from Utahville, South Carolina, charged with murder. Mr. White, charged with murder. We also have a juvenile that's unnamed at this time, but also charged with murder. These individuals also have some other charges. The other charges that we have is the possession of a firearm and the commission of a violent crime, and breach of peace with aggravated in nature. This is one of the satisfactions of my job, when we can come and give you an update that we have some arrests made in the case. But I'll save you from asking this question. I'll answer it for you. Will there be more arrests? Yes. There ain't no doubt there are going to be more arrests in this case. I wanted to get that out. I told you the other day, we talked about the other case that we had, and we talked about the ingredients that was in that case. In this case, I'm probably the only one in here that can't cook a cake. But when you put ingredients in a cake or ingredients in something that's not good, you're going to get something out of it that's not good. The ingredients in this was young kids, was alcohol, was thugs with guns, and a party. And when I say young kids, I'm talking about high school and middle-aged kids. You don't expect anything different. But what I would say today is just simply this, and this is what I want to get out. When I say there's going to be other arrests in this case, yes. But what I want to get out is this. Anybody that want to come in to see me, find me before we find the evidence, because we're going to find it. And anybody that possessed a gun and fired that night, you're going to be right up where these guys are very soon. I want to thank the investigators, Captain Shumpert, for their efforts that they put into this case, and basically every case. But this case, when you have kids, there's a miracle and a blessing that so many others didn't get shot. I don't know how. When I arrived that night, there were still a bunch of kids on scene. And you have to forgive me if I seem a little angry, but I am. I could use big words. I have college degrees, but this ain't time for that. This is time right now for justice and for getting these thugs off the street. And that's what we intend to do. This is crazy. It could have easily been 20 or 30 kids. Easy. I left the scene that morning about 7 o'clock, 7:30 that morning, and there were still parents picking up kids. So that means they weren't old enough to drive. Some looked like they should have been in a baby, in a car seat. But they leaving a party. You know, I hear everybody saying something about a prom party. Prom went good. Prom had anything to do with this. This was an after party that was thrown together by somebody, and this is what happened. We'll give you copies of the warrants. We have copies of the warrants that you can have. And at this time, I'll try to answer any questions that.
Sheriff, what led to the arrest of these individuals, and is there any possible motive for why they would shoot at this party?
What led to the arrest? Here again, the investigation. You know, these guys jumped on it, and then we had citizens that's coming forward to give information, and you know, that many people out there, we should have 100 people being a witness, but that's not the case. You know, everybody wants to sit back and I guess let us do our jobs, I guess, but and we're going to do that. But the investigation, we have some good intel, and we have some more good intel. So that's why I'm telling people right now, if you know anything, you might want to say it now, because later on you might not have that opportunity to say it.
Is the property owner facing any charges, considering that there was alcohol at that party and what turned out to be a fatality?
It's still an ongoing investigation.
Sheriff, approximately how many people do you think attended that party?
Well, when I arrived, you know, the deputy was there before I got there, and they said the number, about 200 jumped out at me, but somebody said, I'm not sure how many people was there, but I know after, you know, I arrived, there were still a lot of people, a lot of kids on scene, adults, kids, alcohol bottles.
The juvenile that was charged with murder, how old is that juvenile?
I think he's 16.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, there were two people that were shot, one that was deceased and one that was transported to the hospital.
Right.
And is there any possible motive for why it escalated to this? Was this some Facebook nonsense, some social media, or
No,
some previous argument that started?
For right now, I'm thinking that it's just something that started. The victim, I don't think, was an intended target. So we're still trying to get that information, but right now, you know, and I think there were more, because some left the scene before we got that was injured. So I'm not sure how many. I know for a fact there were, I think, 1 or 2 that left before we got there, and apparently drove themselves to hospital or either home. Yes, sir.
Do you happen to know the updated condition of the person that was transported to the hospital?
He was released on that night. He was released. It wasn't anything life-threatening.
We talk about milestones, and prom is a huge milestone. As Chief Gibbs said when we interviewed her earlier this week, what do you have to say to parents and to students who now might be afraid for when their prom parties come up?
Right. Well, for a prom party, you know, I think it's fine, and kids should be able to leave the prom or go to the prom and have fun. But the after parties that you don't know where your kids are going, you know, this is something that was actually planned, but you know, for those people it was planned, and I guess at the prom or wherever they announced that, you know, where's the after party, and then I think in this case everybody just showed up, and when everybody shows up, different groups of people show up, they're gonna run into somebody that they don't normally talk to, interact with, and this is what happens.
Do you know what high school the majority of these people that attended the party went to, and did these people that were arrested, were they classmates or did they come from other parts of the community?
No, these, I'm not sure what high school the majority went to. You know, it was in the Santee area. But the guys that was arrested, I'm not even sure if they in school. I'm not sure if they even in school. I know there was some criminal history on some of them, but nothing that I could talk about at this time.
Do you have any approximate number of how many more arrests may be pending?
I really don't. From the evidence that were out there that night, there were multiple people shooting. So I'm not sure how many, but if it's 10 or it's 100, we're gonna work them to I call you in here to see the board.
Thank you.
We'll fit them up there somehow, but because this is just ridiculous. You know, like, you ask the question, kids have a right to come out, to go out, to prom or whatever and have a good time. But then again, let me say this, I don't wanna miss this. Parents need to know where their kids are, especially that young. They need to know where their kids are. And some of the kids that I seen out there that day that morning was just, it was ridiculous.
Is that generally an area that you have problems in or no?
Not this kind of problem, not this. And I think that was the case when they throw together a party like that. I think that was the case. And everybody showed up.
You mentioned 15, 20 kids could have died. Approximately how many shots were fired, and how did they not hit their target? Were they just missed, or kids ran, or what happened?
The grace of God. The grace of God. There was many, many shots that were fired. And right now what we're doing is putting the guns in the hands of the one that fired the shots. And trust me, there'll be more.
Thank you so very much. If you need any more information, please see our PIO, Deputy Walker, and/or you can pick up your warrants. And again, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.